We are pulling into Arica, Chile. This is the driest city in the world. It just never rains. We seem to have some type of festival going on here. Not quite sure what, but they're having a good time. And we're trying to work our way to our tour bus. It's a carnival of some kind. This large landmark, the rock, is called El Morro, and we'll talk more about that later on in the video. But it's seen from all over the city. Arica has a very interesting history, and I'm going to rely on the research done by Laurie Siles, who's on this cruise with us. This area of Chile had totally different borders in 1879. Peru reached down past Arica. Bolivia came all the way to the coast. The War of the Pacific, Chile went to war with Bolivia and Peru alliance over taxes and nitrate mines. Chile quickly won the naval battles, and then land battles, first season Arica, and eventually occupying Lima by 1881. And it wasn't until October of 1883 when a treaty was signed to end the conflict, and they brokered a truce in 1884. As a result of the war, various compromises were made. Chile ended up with all of Bolivia's coastline, and they retained Peru's territory around Arica. And it really wasn't until 1929 that the border issues were finally resolved. And up here on this mount, El Morro, is a monument to the war and also the peace that was brokered. This beautiful statue of Christ was put here to commemorate the peace between Chile, Peru, and Bolivia. They apparently had the Pacific War back in the late 1800s, and as part of the peace deal, Chile took over this stretch of land, but they built this statue to commemorate the peace. Again, this is the driest city in the world, Arica, Chile. And as you look around, it is dry. If the Chilean flag looks a little familiar, check out the Texas state flag here. We're on the top of El Morro. You get a beautiful view of the port and of our cruise ship down there. This festival is to recognize all the different cultures that came together in this one area after the Battle of the Pacific, and making peace between those three countries. Our next stop was at this huge market. It took up blocks of real estate, and it was crowded, but particularly the fruits and vegetables in here were just incredible and fresh and colorful, which I did not expect in some place as dry as Arica. But as we find out, even though it's dry, there are some places that are very have lots of water, and agriculture is quite prevalent. My mouth started watering when I saw this great selection of olives. Green, black, stuffed. Oh my gosh, it was good. The watermelon looked delicious, but what really got to me was the fragrance of fresh peaches. Oh my gosh. I just wanted to buy bushels full and take them, but they won't let them on the ship, so we didn't. If you look up on the hillside there, you see the Geoc Cliffs from the ancient natives of this area. I think they predated the Incas, whoever did that. These Geoc Cliffs are in the Azapa Valley. They were handmade by creating or adding stones to create the designs. These look like llamas. They're made by the Chinchorro people that lived like 5000 BC to 890 BC. Although they do say the Incas probably modified these as well. But they're just very fascinating to see up on the hillside. We also visited the Archaeological Museum of San Miguel of Azapa. There are 4 Chinchorro mummies. These are some of the oldest in the world. And the Chinchorros were the first people to mummify their dead. The Chinchorro mummies were mummified and buried 2,000 years before the Egyptian mummies. The Egyptians' mummies date back to 3000 BC, while the Chinchorro mummies date back 5000 BC. The process of the Chinchorros used to mummify their dead were interesting. They would remove the skin and all soft tissues and organs, including the brain, from the corpse. After the soft tissues had been removed, sticks were used to reinforce bones, while the skin was stuffed with vegetable matter, and then they would reassemble the corpse. The mummy received a clay mask covered in dry clay, and then wrapped in reeds and left out to dry for 30 to 40 days. Quite a process. After leaving the Azapa Valley, we headed to Pocan Chile, a little village where there's a church. As we went there, we went through this very desolate area, and yet you can see down below where either a river runs or the underground water flows underground. There's a lot of green, a lot of vineyards, a lot of orchards, very productive. But out on the real road up where we were going over the mountains, it was pure desolate. There wasn't even weeds growing. The Pocan Church in this little village is a typical small village, humble looking church. And like most that have been there for a long time. It has been rebuilt several times, either because of erosion or earthquakes, but it is in use today. Compared to some of the basilicas or cathedrals that we have seen earlier in our trip, this is again quite humble, and but yet still showed a level of their faith and commitment. And it was interesting, you get a lot of Catholicism and Inca traditions rolled up into some of the architecture and artwork. Every church has a cemetery, it seems like, and this was no exception. This is their cemetery. Had some, it's kind of interesting. We were not allowed to walk in there because up further toward the top there are mass graves, and apparently because of erosion, some of the bodies from the mass graves have been washed out, and the bones and remains are on the surface. So we didn't go up there. Our last stop was at this Inca archaeology site. Kind of a side story, the guy that owned the property was getting ready to build some buildings on this site, and he started excavating and found all these holes, and so we stopped. The university came up and they uncovered all of these Inca storage locations. And they would store fruits, vegetables, the fish they'd catch down by the sea they'd bring up here and store. And so anyway, it's a nice archaeological site, and unfortunately the guy can't build his, fortunately I think, that he can't build his buildings there. He's had to move them a little bit. But it was fascinating to see how the ancient Incas took care of food storage. If you liked our video, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel, Around the World in 274 Days. Be sure to hit the notification bell so you're notified every time we post a new video. Thanks for watching.